Over 50% of India's GDP is connected to the weather. And when I say weather, I'm talking about heat waves. Heat waves isn't just the sun coming out and yaar badi garmi lag rahi hai. A heat wave is the possibility of loss of human life, fatal to the human body because they can't handle the heat, and that actually affects the economy. So we thought, why don't we trace how a heat wave across the country from north to south can actually affect the entire economy. It affects crop yield, inflation, it affects certain companies like ITC who do tobacco, certain companies who are involved in the AC and cooling systems. It also involves the RBI and the stock market, obviously. And we learn how all of this connects to the damn sun. And if you think LearnApp is hot, please give a like and subscribe because I'm bahut mehnat kar rahe. Look at this, it's so nice. And we're not getting enough subscribers. Like it, subscribe, and let's begin this video. You know, I never thought about heat actually impacting the economy so much. If you've read the book Freakonomics, they try to make these connections between stuff that you don't think are connected to, well, other economic stuff. But when you look at heat, you'll be surprised to know that it actually affects the stock market, and the predictions that the IMD has made till 2050 actually are quite interesting. So what we'll do is, not only will we talk about what are heat waves and how they're affecting the economy, we'll also talk about certain sectors. But if we do miss a sector, put it in the comments below so we can probably answer in the comments, because I'm sure you own certain companies. But you know, before we talk about heat waves, I wanted to talk about India. You know, India has changed a lot. I feel less than 3 or 4% of India invests in the market, and the only way to create wealth is to build your own business or be part of a business. You can either buy a stake in it or, well, build your own business. Or maybe you join a startup and get a lot of ESOPs. But the only way that you can actually do that, if you have the education to do it. So the only upskilling school in the world is probably LearnApp, which is focused on not getting you a job, but getting you to be your own boss. So we thought if everyone wants financial freedom 5, 10, 15 years from now, they need the skills to get there. So we would teach them how to build a business, which are product building, growth marketing, and even how to invest in the market, which is investing, personal finance, and even trading. But you know, video is not enough. I mean, on YouTube, you can see all these videos here and learn from them, but it's not the best way to learn. The best way to learn is 3 things. 1, I think you need a leader teaching you. 2, I think you need to create proof of work, which means if you're learning how to invest, you should create your own portfolio in a group of 50 other people who want to learn it, and get a mentor to actually tell you whether you've created something correctly or not. That feedback loop over a 20-day period is where learning happens. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is you can go to the description and apply for a 2-day program. It's completely free, but not everyone can get in. When we got a lot of people taking these programs, we realized it requires a lot of conviction to complete them. So we've made the application process really hard, and we only take people who have grit. So if you think you have what it takes and you want to learn how to invest, there's no cost involved, but fill up the application properly. I'll see you in the class this weekend. Anyway, on 18th of April, the IMD announced heat wave alert. And during the day, there was a government gathering, a government assembly at an open place, and a bunch of people actually died because of heat stroke. And after that event, CMs of different states announced closure of schools, public gatherings ko band kar diya, etc., to battle this heat wave. So what is a heat wave? According to the IMD, a heat wave quantitatively is a condition of the air temperature which becomes fatal to the human body. Matlab, log mar sakte hain, it's that hot. Basically, it's saying that if there's a normal temperature, it's much hotter right now. You know, this PDF by the IMD and how you can keep safe from a heat wave is in the description. Check it out and possibly read it. There are 2 myths around the heat wave. 1, I think people think this only happens in India. This is not true. It happens from north to south in India. It also happens in Australia, in California. It happens in the UK. It happens in America. It happens around the world. It's not that India is hot. There are many places around the world where it's hot, and there is a heat wave there as well. The second thing is people think a heat wave only affects humans because, well, humans are very self-centered. It affects anyone that's living, breathing, and even plants actually. This February 2023 has been the hottest February ever in the recorded history of temperature of the world. I'm not talking about India. March is possibly the same, and I think April is going to be the hottest in the world ever again. Basically, this year is the hottest year the world has ever seen in the recorded past. And this means that a lot will change, including the economy, which is why we're talking about this. The El Niño effect is going to make this worse. It's very simple. The Pacific Ocean gets really warm, and the air on top of the Pacific Ocean becomes really hot. And as air on top of this moves towards land, it brings heat along with it, and that warm air adds to the heat wave. This is called the El Niño effect. I'm sure you learnt it in school. I did, completely forgot, but now I've read it because of this video. The El Niño effect is affecting all of agriculture. Now think about it. If agriculture produces less output, that means there'll be a shortage of wheat and other things like even mango. And because of that, the cost of all of this will go up, which means inflation will also go up. For example, the production of wheat is actually reduced this year and the last. This also means poor vegetative and retarded growth in all kinds of crops. Even stuff like whitefly attacks become more common in palm and coconut because whitefly actually thrive in heated temperature. So the heat wave is actually good for them, making things worse for the farmer. There was a report titled 2022 Heat Wave, no shit, which talks about the impact, causes and way forward of the Indian agriculture state. It talks about the abnormal temperature increase in 2022, and it's impacted fruits, vegetables and animals in 9 states. We're talking Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and all these other states. Actually, a reduction of 23% of quinoa was observed in Punjab. Now think about it. When 23% of output reduces, what will happen to the prices? 19% reduction was observed in chickpea. Think about that again. Jab 19% market mein kam hoga, what will happen to the prices? We can even see that there was an increase of 5 degrees of temperature in March in Uttar Pradesh, and this resulted in flower drop. So lots of jhumka, a flower disorder, affected lots of mangoes. And remember the whitefly I was talking about? The whitefly is so bad, it destroyed almost 1.35 lakh hectares of coconut and oil palm in South India way back in 2016. So that could make things worse this year. So why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you that the heat wave reduces output in Indian agriculture. We can't really do much about it, but when the prices go up, the RBI sees that inflation has gone up. And when inflation goes up, the only way RBI can tame inflation is by raising interest rates. Now, the interesting thing about this is that when interest rates are raised, it's a bad thing for the economy generally. The stock market reacts negatively. There is less liquidity. Companies do not take loans because now interest rates are higher, so growth reduces just a little bit. Overall, that heat wave brings the heat to corporate India. But heat waves also have a positive impact on certain industries. See ITC, tobacco, leaves. So think about how the cigarette industry works. You have tobacco. During the process, to turn it into a cigarette, you have to dry the tobacco leaves. And that requires firewood. That firewood is now reduced because, well, the sun is doing a lot of drying for you. As you can see, it's friggin' hot outside. So they're able to save some money on this. So the input costs reduce. Also, if you look at the cooler industry, the air conditioning industry, the demand for this increases a lot. More interestingly, air conditioning in very high dry environments does not work. I don't know if you know this. Symphony, for example, moved to B2B large-scale commercial coolers and not air conditioning because in arid, very high temperatures, air conditioning doesn't simply work. In high temperatures like this, companies like Symphony and other cooling agents work extremely well. It's actually good for them and the industry. The power sector is actually interesting. You may think that when the heat increases, power demand increases, and you're totally right, which is why we see a lot of power cuts during the summer because there isn't enough supply to match the demand. But apart from rising demand and rising profits for capital good companies which actually manufacture different power equipment and distributors like PFC, for example, which distribute all of this energy, the problem also comes with light. For every degree that the temperature goes up, the life of a transformer or a solar panel actually falls by a certain amount of time, which means that their capital expenditure may increase, their maintenance may actually increase. Apart from all of this, there's also worker productivity, which means workers are less likely to work in their full efficiency when it is really hot. Think about the armed forces, think about railways, think about all the IT companies, think about government jobs, banks. All these people, I think, will have a longer lunchtime. Economists actually estimate worker productivity declines by 2 to 4% with every degree of Celsius increase in the temperature above that city's normal level. That's about 80 million jobs gone, equivalence of the efficiency actually lost. Now, this obviously is an estimate, and I have no idea how economists actually measured this, but it affects output in companies as well. Probably not sales teams because they have incentive. We've talked about a lot of problems, and there's still a lot of problems left, but I can't cover them all. I want you to, so please put it in the comments below. Now I want to talk about some solutions, and some of these are pretty interesting. In Los Angeles, there is a special kind of paint built by University of Purdue, which is called kool. They're literally painting the town, this road, the streets white to actually reduce the dependence on air conditioning. I don't know how that works, but check this out. Pretty interesting. This type of white paint reflects 98.1% of sunlight, as if LA wasn't white enough. They also say 1,000 square feet could have a cooling power of 10 kilowatts. And we know that walls and roofs have been painted white for centuries, but I'm not sure whether this kool is actually something scientific or just a marketing gimmick. But I think this will be interesting if something actually comes out of it. The next solution comes from fertilizer companies. In fact, even the agriculture research bodies in India say we should use potash in agriculture. Now, just like salt is used in pickling to retain water, similarly, potash helps in retention of water in crops. In such a heat wave, retaining water becomes an advantage and prevents you from becoming sukha puri. So basically, potash helps in the osmoregulation process in plants, and due to the osmotic pressure, turgidity in the plants is maintained and regulates the opening of stomata. And when the evapotranspiration does not happen due to it, the plants basically retain the moisture level. Now, potash also helps in translocation of nutrients from leaves to grains. Out of all the fertilizers these fertilizers companies sell, potash is the most expensive. They know that farmers need it. So all of these solutions were at a city level, at agricultural level, but you as an individual also have to keep safe. Please don't go out. The heat wave is real and can affect you, your body, even your mind and brain. Make sure you have water, and don't forget to subscribe to LearnApp. Because if you don't survive, then how will you subscribe and watch all of our videos? Nice course, na? Maza hai na? If you like this video, genuinely, please put a comment. We'd really like to see it. See you in the next video.